Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast is now on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast and click that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. My name is Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me, he's the one that shines the most, and he's all full of bright colors. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, man, how you doing?
I'm not doing too bad.
You got to roll with
one color that I know of. I don't. If I have other colors coming out of me, I'm going to the doctor.
That's good. But I did want to throw out. I mean, obviously this is going to be months after the fact, but as of this recording, we are recording on March 9th, 2021. Me and you, Doug, made it to number 33 in the TV review section of podcasting in the podcasting world. Our podcast. I don't even think we got up that high with freaking Sports Entertainment Breakdown. So high fives to us on that.
Yeah. We might have gotten up there at our peak, but
yeah. Yeah, back when there wasn't as many wrestling podcasts and freaking celebrities bumping us off that are kind of in the game.
Right, exactly. When there wasn't a global pandemic and everybody had no excuse but to be home, and what else are you going to do except start a podcast in 2021?
For real. But today is the special episode, as you all know, because you clicked on this episode. But today is the Cyber Soldier Porygon episode. Never aired here in the U.S., only aired one time over in Japan for reasons of it sent a lot of kids to the hospital.
Yeah, a lot of kids got sick. Photosensitive, prone to seizures. Apparently it's the specific light sequence, the red and blue lights.
Yes.
That are flashing during the Porygon battle sequence.
And yellow.
And yellow, okay, yeah, of course. Flashing during the battle sequence, which we'll get to. So if you're following along with us, I'm sure any copy you're going to find online has a warning on it.
Yes. Please, people, please. And you're going to see us do things. I mean, you're probably not going to notice it too much, but I've gracefully asked Doug if Doug could go over that battle scene himself when we get to it, because I myself, I'm epileptic. And I don't want to stir up anything by watching that scene again. I got lucky the first time, but who knows what'll happen the second time.
So what are you going to do? Are you just going to jump ahead?
I'm going to pause it because I know where that scene is now. And I'm going to just fast forward. Like, I think that scene is like 2 minutes long. I'm going to fast forward probably like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then jump right back in with you.
Yeah, because it kind of sneaks up on you if you're not paying attention.
Yes.
Like, I was sitting there watching it, pardon me, the first time. And I was like, all right, I know this is coming up, because again, the big motherfuck warning on top, kids were sick in Japan. It's like, okay. And then I was like, what's so bad? And then I was like, oh, that'll do it.
Yeah. Um, and do not, if you are, and we're not asking you, because we normally ask you to kind of follow along with us, if you can. We're not asking you to watch this. We're just asking you to listen to our voices as we review it. If you are interested in watching the episode as we are going through it, by all means. But I do want to throw out there that this has made a lot of people sick. So watch it at your own discretion. And we will be getting into the episode. I mean, overall, it's a pretty fun episode.
It's a fine episode. And I mean, yeah, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. Pardon me, if you feel like you need to watch it, you're taking the risk on yourself.
Yes.
And my version that I'm watching doesn't have the subtitles. So as we're getting into this, I'm going to find one with subtitles. How the fuck does it not have?
I am gonna say one thing. So I have it up on the TV that I'm getting ready to view myself, and it's funny because the theme song is in Japanese, and I remember as a child, my father would take me to the comic book store, and I got a few different copies of Pokemon in Japanese with the subtitles at the bottom, and now that I'm thinking about it, these might have been some bootlegs. Now that I'm thinking about the type of case that these movies were in, but I'm thinking about that now. But I remember I watched Mewtwo Strikes Back before it came here in theaters. So I had that on VHS and then went to the movie theater and was like, what the fuck? I got this at home. But I watched that like months before. I saw Togepi. I remember I grabbed an episode and saw Togepi before Togepi was a thing out here in the US. I remember that. Um, and the theme song that they would play, I've watched those episodes over and over and over again that I could probably sing to you the Japanese theme song. I can't do it now, but that's how much I watched it. When I pulled this episode up, that theme song played. I was like, "Oh, I remember this song." Oh, I was like, "Oh, this brings back some memories." So,
Yeah, it's definitely a different song than what we got.
yes, it's a happier song.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, all right. So enough. I guess we can say enough lollygagging and reminiscing that we can kind of get into this. But this episode aired in Japan on December 16th, 1997. And we like to go back in history on this date and pull open some things that happened in American history, Canadian history, any history that we can find that's significant that we could talk about. And on this day in 1773 was the Boston Tea Party, the day that American rebels disguised themselves as Indians and threw 342 chests of British tea into the Boston Harbor, paving the way for the American Revolution.
Yep, they didn't. The American colonists didn't want to be taxed by the British, so we hit them where it hurt, which apparently is in the tea bags. And yeah, so we dumped a bunch of perfectly good tea into the harbor, and
made tea. It made their harbor a bunch of tea. Just
yeah, but I don't know if I want to drink because that couldn't have been the cleanest water.
It couldn't have been, but just add a little bit of sugar. Just get a filter.
A lot of bit of sugar.
No, just a little bit. Just sprinkle it in there.
Just a pinch.
Yeah, just a pinch. You got to just sprinkle it in. It'll even itself out at some point. Take a filter, put it in the water, scoop it up. You're good.
It'll even itself out.
Yep. So
Oh man.
there were no fish harmed in this process. I'm joking. I have no idea.
There had to have been.
Yeah, these fish were like, oh, this tastes what the fuck?
What?
So, all right, but that is what happened on my date. And Dougie Fresh, we went off air. We were talking off air that you have about 5 or 6 possibilities, and you're gonna surprise me. So, which one did you pick for yours?
So, to contrast your selection of something that happened way back in the 1700s, on December 16th, 2019, 25 years after its original release,
I know which one you picked.
Mariah Carey's super infectious All I Want for Christmas Is You finally tops the Billboard 100 charts.
Yeah. 25 years after its release. That's fucking crazy. As catchy as that song is, you're telling me it took 25 years to become number one?
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean,
like, that's my favorite Christmas song of the year. Like, I can listen to that over and over and over again. And I know for you, it's not your not your favorite. You because I remember singing it, and you were like, "Oh, you go to hell."
you go right to hell.
You stop singing that song.
No, it's just, I mean, and I understand. It's Mariah Carey. She doesn't put out duds. But and the problem is it's catchy.
Very.
And you hear it once, and heaven forbid you hear it at the beginning of a party or the beginning of a night, because it's going to stick with you until you go to bed.
Yes. And it'll probably be in your dreams too, like it is for me.
Fucking wake up and you're gonna have like a Spotify alarm set, and it's gonna be that song for no damn reason.
Well, you get out of my house.
I know that's your song. I hope not year round.
No. Only around Christmas. Only around Christmas. But still,
you used to do, and I'm peeling back a curtain. You might not want peeled back, but fuck it.
Uh-oh.
You used to do the Undisputed Era's entrance theme. Are you still doing that with them kind of being on the outs?
Well, that was changed outside of my power. My wife made me take that off because it was every fucking morning. I'm getting up for work, and all you hear is boom, dun, 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 dun. And some mornings I'd wake up and I'd hear it, and then as they're getting ready to do the boom, my thumb goes up and comes down on my forehead, just boom, and Stephanie will just be like, "Will you stop that? Turn that off."
You don't even do it subconsciously. It happens.
Yeah, it just happens. 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's a great way to wake up.
It's a great way.
So yeah, that I haven't even thought of that because it's been so long now because she made me change that shit. But it was a good time. It was a good. It had a good run.
It had a good run. Yeah, it did.
Now I have to listen to freaking Patrick and SpongeBob in the morning for my son every single morning on the Alexa. Jesus.
Oh, I'm sure that got old real quick.
Oh yeah, it's Patrick knocking on a door going, "Hello? Hello, is anybody here? Is anybody here? Hello? Hello?" And it repeats itself over and over again until my son goes over and hits the button and then falls right back on his bed going, "I don't want to get out of bed." Mm-hmm. I'm like, "Boy, you're still at home for school. You better get your ass up."
Got no excuse being late.
For real. So, all right. So that was mine. That was yours. You ready to jump into this grand episode, Doug?
I am excited to get into this. It's probably. I mean, there's only been three of them, and one of them was a complete dud. So I mean, I don't really know if it's fair at the moment to compare it to the Legend of Dratini. I mean, talk to me in an hour and see how I feel. But
Let's see. I do believe, because after this episode, I believe we're pretty much good to go on our banned episodes, and that the episodes,
Mr. Mime,
uh,
or no, not Mr. Mime, Jinx.
no, Jinx. Well, we have quite a ways for that. Actually,
Okay,
we have two back-to-back episodes that did not come out right away. We have
really?
Yeah, we have Jinx, and then we have Snow Way Out. So yeah, one of them is the Jinx episode, and the other one is um, Ash, where he almost died inside of a cave, and Charmander kept him alive with his burning tail.
No,
So
why is that one banned? But the
uh,
entire episode where they
I,
introduced Charmander was him dying for like 15 minutes.
I'd have to go back and see why there was a gap. And I think Jinx might be in that episode. I can't don't quote me on it.
Ah,
But this was still back when Jinx had blackface and wasn't purple.
right.
So we will see. They're both Christmas episodes. It's one the first one's Holiday Hijinks, and the second one is called Snow Way Out.
Oh, okay. And they probably didn't have time to change it. And okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah, because they're
Okay.
it's back to back.
Okay.
So all right, so I am starting my episode out, and the narrator is starting this off by saying that they had just left their last town, and the trio has had its up and down, and freaking Misty is trying to get Psyduck to drink out of a water fountain, and Psyduck ain't having any of it.
It ain't going well, and Brock and Ash are sitting on a bench eating. I want
Donuts,
to, yeah, well, donuts, rice balls, whatever the fuck.
rice balls.
And
Pikachu's drinking tea.
it's made reference to that Pikachu is perhaps the most exhausted of the Pokemon. And Ash goes, "I understand. We'll get you to the
Pokemon Center right away.
right." And then we get the, pardon me, we get the title sequence.
Yes. So we go straight from that, and we're at a very weird looking. Let's pause this here real quick. So
Mm-hmm.
this Pokemon Center literally looks like a hot air balloon that's on the ground behind some doors. It's yellow and bright blue with a big
With
P.
a pink P in the middle.
Yes.
And of course, if you listen to last week's episode, Ditto's Mansion, you'll make note that Team Rocket's mode of transport was a Meowth hot air balloon.
Yes. So I'm going. You know what? Real quick, Doug. I'm going to look up because they keep saying Mascha City. I'm going to find out what the name of this city really was on Bobapedia real quick. Cyber Soldier Porygon. There we go. And I'm going to, where is it? Where are you, Bulbapedia? Bulbapedia is not a thing. All right, let's see.
The hell it isn't.
I know it isn't. There we go. All right. Bulbapedia.net, Electric Soldier Porygon. Apparently that's what it's called here in the US, by the way.
Right, right.
All right, let's see. Episode 38. So, the synopsis is it says Matcha City on here as well. All right. So, I guess that's what we're going to go with.
I guess that's what we're going to go with, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because this only aired once.
Yeah, it only aired the one time, and it. I get, yeah. I just wanted to kind of tie it to the Pokemon game, to be completely honest. Um,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it,
but that name definitely didn't stick out to me when I watched it.
well, apparently a lot of these cities that they're going into doesn't really um, go well in the video game as well. Because remember the Grimer episode?
You're right, Gringy City. Yeah,
Yeah, cringy.
wasn't no Gringy City and no red and blue.
No. Uh, so
Remember that.
all right. So we go into the Pokemon Center in this episode, and this is where we get the first instance as to what's going on in this city. So apparently,
Mhm.
Nurse Joy is on the phone, and people are having problems transferring their Pokemon. The Pokemon's going into the transfer machine, and it's being transferred, but it's not ending up in the place where it's supposed to go to.
So clearly, somebody was pulling the cable out before the trade was over.
Yes, and of course the trio comes in as she is on the phone taking all these phone calls, and Nurse Joy is like, "Oh, you didn't get your Pokemon? Okay, we'll investigate it. Oh, you didn't get your Pokemon either? Okay, we'll investigate it." And the Brock is just like, he's like, "I wonder what's going on in here," and they're kind of listening, and then we get this weird looking guy with some circles around his eyes, and he says, "I built this transfer machine myself. There is nothing wrong with this machine. There is
Is it
no
his eyes, or is it just the way his glasses are?
I." The way that this episode goes, I'm going to say that those are his eyes.
Yeah, well, I'm
I-
gonna go with glasses, so we'll split the difference.
Well, look at Brock's eyes.
What about him?
They're shut all the time.
Right. Go ahead, dig a little deeper, see what happens.
I'm just messing around, people. All right, but so Nurse Joy is talking to this guy, and he's like, "I built this machine myself. I did all the programming. People have complaints, but it doesn't mean anything because there's nothing wrong with my machine. I'm transferring all these Pokemon." And he's continuing to transfer all these Pokemon, and Nurse Joy is sitting there saying, she's like, "Well, all these people have all of these complaints." And then in comes Ash, Misty, Brock, and Pikachu.
Sticking
Yep.
our nose where it doesn't belong at all.
I know.
This has nothing to do with them.
How did
I
they even
mean,
get back there?
right? Isn't there? I mean, she's obviously she's back there, and what's a Chansey going to do to stop him? So basically, well, before the trio kind of sticks their nose in where it doesn't belong, we get a visual example of what's going wrong. So we see a Ninetales is being transferred, and then on the other end, when that Pokeball arrives, there's a Magikarp in there.
Yes.
So that's all kinds of fucked up because Pokemon are in this world. Pokemon are physical beings.
Yes. But when they go into a Pokeball, they become, I guess, data.
I guess. I mean, I'll take that. It's something. But that's bullshit because we've established in previous episodes that Pokemon can hear and
It's a kid's show, Doug.
this has to be the record. This has to be the earliest It's a Kid Show move on that we've done in 38 episodes of this show.
I know, for real.
Anyway, so Ash sticks up and goes, "Hey, what's going on?" And basically, Nurse Joy, orange check mark, by the way, or cross.
Yes.
Um,
Good catch, Doug. Good catch.
well, every time I tell you, you fucked me. Nurse Joy basically gives the same rundown that she was given on the phone and giving to the professor, and she gave to us like 5 seconds earlier. And she says, well, it appears that the professor sees that there could be a potential virus in the code, but he doesn't want to admit it because that would imply that he didn't do something right. And then
And then we find out that he finds out that there might be either bad coding or a virus.
Ash, of course, being 10, has to kind of be the audience and go, I didn't know a computer could get sick.
I know.
We see Ash get an image of what looks like a sick computer being attacked with a pitchfork by a dog.
That didn't look like a dog. That looked like a demon.
That was a dog.
That looked like a demon.
If I've seen a dog.
And then it's at this point that this professor, he's like, no, he's like, my stuff is perfectly fine. No virus can get inside that easily. Like, he is flipping shit because
there's advanced circuits.
Yeah, he gets it's just he gets offended easily, and then out of nowhere he just runs out of the room. And I mean, you have two 10-year-olds and a 13-year-old or 15-year-old watching this man just flip shit and just run out.
And I mean, he's gone, and then, like you said, the kids are kind of they're kind of left holding the ball. And then
Brock is like, he's like, who is this guy? And this is where we get the guy's name. His name is Akihabara Hakis. Obviously, that's a Japanese name.
Yeah, I was going to say his name would probably be like Jim Smith or something.
Yes. And Nurse Joy is like, he developed the program for the transfer system. So this is how you transfer your Pokemon to your famous professors.
So basically, he's gone. So it's left to the kids, of course, because it's their show, to
kind of figure this out.
Well, figure it out, but also kind of go back to his house and kind of kick him in the ass and be like, hey, fucking get on your shit.
and it looks like Nurse Joy threw together a map with crayon because they have to follow the map to get over to his house, and it's poorly drawn, but she must think he's crazy too, because she drew him with the squiggly things around his eyes as well.
Yeah, well, so that's why I'm saying that's his glasses.
I think there's more to this story.
No, I think I figured it out.
It's his glasses?
It's his glasses.
Oh,
so they find the guy's house, and it's this kind of, I was going to say run down. I mean, the gate's kind of run down, but the house itself is kind of fine.
I mean, not even just that, but it's a big ass house. So this dude must be freaking loaded. And
of course, it wouldn't be Pokemon entering a house if it wasn't empty.
So, all right. So the trio finds the house, and the door just happens to be unlocked, and they make their way in.
And they don't see anybody, so they just keep walking. And Misty, of course, sees what's wrong first, and she's freaking out.
And then Brock sees it.
And then we turn around and we're confronted with a giant head of old Akihara.
Yes.
And they say, what the fuck? And, Pikachu shocks it, and it disintegrates. But then it re-energizes itself.
And it becomes a ride.
Well, and that's when Brock kind of looks down and goes, hey, look, it's a fucking projection.
Yes. Because Pikachu thunder shocks it, and when he thunder shocks it, like you said, it breaks apart, comes back together, and Brock's like, it just restored itself. Oh, it's a projection. because and the thing kind of mocked him too, because as soon as it comes back together, it mouths out the words, "Just kidding."
Yeah. So, like you said, then we find out that it's kind of basically like a Roomba, and the projection leads the three of them to a room with a giant glass tube,
Yes.
and because they're ever so trusting, and because there wouldn't be a show if they didn't, they get into the damn thing.
This thing, this episode takes a big turn real quick. So, what we're about to talk about, everyone, remember back to the Sabrina episode,
Yeah,
when Ash and the gang got turned into dolls. Okay, so
right.
what's getting ready to happen in this scene is kind of similar to that. But what happens here is that they walk into this tube and they get computerized and switched over into the computer, which is weird.
Because they want to go in and figure out what's going on with the transfer system, and this guy's just crazy enough to
Send some kids in to do it.
right.
But okay, so and I don't want to seem like it's not that they were even wanting to do this. Like the scientists closed the door on these kids, and Ash and the trio go running over to the glass to hit it. They're like, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you planning on locking us away in here? What's going on?" And the professor basically just goes, um, "There's a virus in this system. I need your help. I'm going to send you in. You need to find it and beat the virus, and then I'll let you come back out." Which
And
is fucked up.
well, you say that, but they got in it.
But they didn't know what they were getting into. They when they walked into the thing, they said, "I can't see a damn thing."
There's a giant glass tube in the middle of a room.
Yeah.
I'm not getting in it.
I don't know
Unprovoked.
exactly. But it's at this time that after they're talking to this crazy muck, Porygon makes his first appearance in the Pokemon series.
And of course, because it's Misty and it's an unfamiliar Pokemon, she jumps.
Yes.
But this one isn't near as bad as a bug type Pokemon.
And he says it's the very first CGI Pokemon called Porygon. And Porygon.
Oh, go ahead. I don't know where I was going. Go ahead.
Oh, and Misty is like, "So what do you plan on doing with us? Are you gonna let us out?" And he said, "There is nothing that I, the genius Akihara, can't solve." And then what's the next line that he says? Oh, and then Ash looks up at the camera and goes, "Then what caused this incident?"
And then we find out that a group of vandals stole the prototype Porygon.
Well, it wasn't that they stole. So we have some people that look like Team Rocket. Well, of course it is Team Rocket. They go into the machine and they digitalize themselves into the system and caused this virus. So the virus is Team Rocket.
Right.
And Team Rocket found a way to, while in the system, transfer, I guess, Pokemon to themselves instead of transferring the Pokemon over somewhere else. So my guess is and this was my guess, like watching this. Are they creating these Magikarp? Are these digitalized Magikarp that they're sending to all these trainers, Doug?
It could be. It could be James still has a vendetta out about Magikarp from the Saint Anne, and he's
Yeah.
still bitter, and he's like, if I have to be saddled with this damn fish,
I'm gonna have everyone be saddled with this damn fish.
yeah.
So it's at this time after the professor is talking about this stuff, the trio snaps their fingers and go, Team Rocket.
Which, duh.
Yeah. And then and then we get an image of a computer getting a physical shot and Team Rocket going, nah. And the guy is like, if I put a strong enough vaccine software in the computer right now, the humans inside will be blown to pieces.
Which we don't necessarily want.
No. And and even the professor doesn't want that. He's like, that's what I'm worried about. And Ash kind of goes, he's like, is there no other way to get this done? And the professor's like, no. So if I put the vaccine into this computer while these humans are in there, these humans will be vanished, and then basically I'm going to be in trouble. But if I send you in there and you can get them out of the software and I can bring you back, it will fix everything.
So basically, we find out we've basically known for 5 minutes that these four and Porygon.
Yes.
So these 5 people are going to be sent into the
Computer software.
the electronic world or whatever they're calling it, and it's their job to hunt down Team Rocket and get them out as well as themselves. And Misty's like, well, what happens if we don't make it out?
And the professor basically gets pushed into a corner, and he kind of tries to sweeten the pot by saying that he can get them out, but he is also thinking in his head, well, if they can't get him out, then they might be stuck in this computer world forever. So he's not even like 100% that he can get the trio out of there, which is kind of fucked up.
But he's not, but he's just crazy enough to say, oh, it's not me going in there.
Yeah, exactly. Because
he's like, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. You'll be okay, is basically what he's saying. So we go straight from that, and let's see, Brocco sending a person. Hold on, let me kind of rewind this because I want to get Brock's actual line. He said, sending a person into the electrical world or electronic world. No one's done that before, have they? And Missy's like, but what if we can't get back? And the professor goes, I promise you, as the first to enter the virtual world, your efforts will gain you great standings in the scientific community. And he's just nuts.
He's talking out of his ass.
Yeah. And Ash is like, that's not really the sort of promise that we need. And he's like, yeah, good luck. And then he shoots on the machine and digitalizes everybody. And they're off into the computer world. So Ash doesn't want to go because he's not promised that he's going to get out. Misty's saying, stop it, stop it, stop it. She's smashing this glass. She's like, I don't want to go in. And then all of a sudden her body gets digitalized. And then Misty's like, oh, no. And then they all fall into the computer world.
And it looks like they're going to fall for a while. And, I mean, and they're not really I mean, Misty and Pikachu kind of. Well, Brock and Ash, they're just kind of floating.
Yeah.
They're like into some shit. And it's not until Misty goes plummeting past them that they go, oh shit, we're falling.
And then here comes Porygon, who makes himself like 12 times the size that he was just a second ago, and catches the gang and they start riding on Porygon.
And then we get some 1997 gobbledygook about, this being like a highway system. And
Yeah, Brock says this is a network highway. That highway is what sends the mass or the monster balls, well, in this case, Pokeballs. And if we follow it, we should reach Team Rocket.
And yeah, so they're riding on the back of this Porygon, and then we see a huge vat of Pokeballs look gummed up behind a couple of security gates, and
Yeah, because it's too big to transfer all at once. So it's basically going into the computer one at a time, and all these Pokeballs that Team Rocket is taking is backed up.
Yeah, so it's basically, I mean, on its face, it's bullshit because there's like billions of Pokeballs behind like one gate.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't work, but it's a kid show.
Yeah, kid show. And then and then this is where we get Team Rocket officially in the episode.
Right, and Team Rocket pops up to try to do their intro, but Meowth shoots them down saying,
"We're not here to talk. We're here to get all these Pokeballs, and we have to find a way to get all of these Pokeballs through in enough time."
And Jesse and James are kind of sitting there having some tea going, "We're the only ones in here, calm down." And then Ash, like 5 milliseconds later, goes, "Hey, Team Rocket.
Because of you, the Pokemon Center is in is in chaos." And Meowth just gets so pissed. I feel like they animate Meowth in these Japanese episodes a lot more vicious than what he is here in the U.S. Because Meowth looks straight up at them and he's like, hey, it's them again. And he is just pissed. And Team Rocket's like, just leave it to us. Go Arbok. Go Weezing. And they're about to have a Pokemon battle in the digital world.
And Weezing shoots out some smoke, and Porygon becomes kind of takes Weezing's form. So we've basically had 2 episodes in a row of Pokemon basically being shapeshifters at this point.
Yeah.
And we get a giant tackle, and Weezing is knocked onto the rest of them. And
Porygon looked like a straight up freaking acne yucky Pokemon. Ew.
And then we get, because apparently we don't have Dexter, we get the professor popping in, basically saying what that move was that Porygon just did, and he said it's called
Conversion.
And he says it.
He said,
faster.
Yeah.
He said it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He said Porygon has the power to take the appearance of another Pokemon and attack with its.
And attach it to its surface. Yes. Which I don't know about you, but I don't remember Porygon having that type of power in the Pokemon game.
No.
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 Me either. I remember that specifically being for Ditto and Ditto alone.
Because him having this power basically makes the entire episode previously pointless.
Yes, exactly. Maybe it's a good thing we didn't get this episode in the U.S.
I'm sitting here going, they're going back on themselves.
That's a little bit of pokey bullshit. So Meowth is standing here, and he's like, "Then we'll fight Porygon as well." And then Jessie sends out Jessie has her own Porygon.
It's the Porygon that they stole.
Yeah. So they have a Porygon, and that Porygon becomes 12 times the size, and then we have a big Porygon battle, and they're going back and forth. And I kind of feel like We're getting up to that scene. I'm not sure exactly where it's at, but I'm going to
We're
pause it.
not, yeah, we're not 100% there yet, but there is some light flashes. It gets really bad later. But yeah, it's basically we just have a little bit of back and forth of the Porygons becoming like shields and hammers and stuff.
Yeah,
And
kind of bullshit.
and then the professor pops back in and says, "Takes this. God bless this
He said, "What?
caption.
Why are you just standing around? Take this chance to restore the high ray so the Pokemon can flow properly." And just yelling at him.
AKA move the damn barricade.
Yeah.
This guy's using 20 words when all he needs is 5.
So they're starting to move the barricades, and as they're moving the barricades, you see all the Pokeballs start flashing one by one, and they're vanishing and they're going away, and they're being reversed back over to the original trainers because they
Or
can't
are
get
they
through.
being completed?
No, I wouldn't say they're being completed because remember, there's a backlog. So the Pokemon are trying to go one way, and if they can't go that one way, I believe they're being transferred back.
Okay.
In my head, I mean that's the way I see it because the barricade was there for the Pokeballs to continue to go forward and not backwards.
Right. Oh no, I mean that's I wasn't sure,
But Jessie takes this and she's like, "What are you doing? Those are our Pokemon." And Meowth, like I said, Meowth is fucking more vicious in this episode than he is in anywhere else because he's just like, "Yeah, those are ours," and just starts charging at Ash.
And then Pikachu sends a shock and good Porygon knocks Team Rocket Porygon into them and they go away, but there's still 8 minutes left in the episode or 9 minutes left in the episode, so they're probably not gone for good.
Nope. But okay, and I know it's a kid show, okay? So I'm gonna pause this real quick. How can they Pokemon battle inside of a computerized machine?
Well, at this point you're in the machine, so you're basically just battling with code.
But wouldn't that okay? I'm getting too technical with it. I was like, wouldn't that code just fry and corrupt the file in real life?
I mean, yeah, but
It's a kid show.
right.
So, all right. So we go back into the real world over to the professor, and the professor's like, "What? The Pokemon Center is accessing the transfer program." And then he's like, "Just what are they trying to do?" And then he puts in a and then someone puts in a floppy disk. Oh, it's Nurse
No,
Joy.
that was a CD. That wasn't a floppy disk. That was an honest to goodness like CD.
Oh, it's a CD. And Nurse Joy says, "Well then, if you please." And this guy on the computer goes, "Understood." And he
And
pops up on a computer, and the professor pops up on the computer screen to talk to the Nurse Joy.
he's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "Well, they sent over basically they sent a tech over to the Pokemon Center, and
He's using a strong vaccine to put into his computer program, and this just makes the guy go crazy.
he's like, that's exactly what I didn't need to happen." And Joy's just all happy-go-lucky. She's like, "It'll be fixed in a couple of minutes now. Bye." And she leaves, and he's freaking out.
Because it's at this point that the professor is like, "Wait a minute, if they put this vaccine into the computer, I have children inside of the computer system fighting this thing, and there's also Team Rocket in there. It will completely obliterate these kids. I'm going to be in trouble. What the fuck am I going to do?"
So, and then we get the who's that Pokemon? It's Porygon. And then we see Ash and them are still moving barricades, and they say, okay, there's one left. And just as they're about to go reach for it, the professor pops up on the screen and says, there's big trouble.
Yeah, because there's a big vaccine coming in, and we need to get you guys out of this computer system.
And trying to get the freaking caption to catch up.
So Brock is Brock is like, what happened? And the professor's freaking out at the trio, and he's like, there's a strong vaccine coming in here, and if it reaches you, you will be stuck in this computer world or be vaporized forever. So we need to get you out of this computer system fast.
And then Misty has the dumbest line of the episode go, I didn't want that to happen. No shit. So then, as they're kind of sitting there crapping their pants, we see one of these vaccine mobiles come out of the tunnel, and it identifies the trio as a
virus.
As a virus, and it brings out the needles and it locks onto them as targets. And Ash calls Porygon. He says, get us up.
So Porygon picks them up, and they are out of there. And this is where trouble ensures, because there's Team Rocket. Team Rocket also sees them flying away, and they're like, wait up, cowards. And Ash finally gets a heart and goes, well, if you guys don't run too, you'll never get back to the real world either, so you better start flying.
Right, and I was going to say, well, why didn't they pick him up? And then I realized, oh, right, they have a Porygon too. Yep.
And, okay, I see it now. This is when the shit's getting ready to go down. So, Doug, take it away.
So it's about this time where we see one of the program bots shoot a couple of vaccines towards one of the last remaining signs that were holding back the Pokeballs. And that's when Team Rocket realized, oh, this is some real shit, because they barely dodged out of the way of the needles in the first place. And yeah, this is definitely where it starts.
Doesn't the rocket or the little machine turn into like a fucking needle rocket at some point?
Basically, and Team Rocket's basically paralyzed by a large swath of blue light. But it's at that point where their Porygon drops in and scoops them up. Poor James is hanging on by the wing. He's like barely on there. And the vaccine mobiles are in hot pursuit because, again, they're locked on as viruses. And then as the explosions are happening, that's when the shit hits the fan in terms of the light sequences. And
the big kabooms are like red, yellow, blue, and what is it? Just red, yellow, and blue?
Yeah, and it's just, and I mean, there's a few flashes of green, but they're isolated, and it's just they're for long enough where like just me sitting here, just my eyes hurt. I mean, and that's all it is, but it's unpleasant.
Yes,
and so they're basically getting away. And the guy who put the who the center sent over is like tracking all this, and he says the
vaccine has an even stronger command. All right, I'm back into it now, and he's locking onto the Porygon and sending the big beam over to hit Team Rocket.
And that's just, well, okay. And there is a little bit more here.
Yeah, just that one's softer than what we just saw. So there's another explosion. It hits Team Rocket. Team Rocket looks like they're about to faint. Nurse Joy, we go back to another scene where Nurse Joy is telling the professor, fix it immediately and don't use that command again.
So basically what the professor was trying to tell her, but she wasn't listening.
Yeah.
But now because she said it, now it's serious.
Yep. And she goes, if the transfer program crashes, we can't start it over. So she doesn't know that the kids are in there, but what she's concerned about is all the Pokemon that's stuck in this virtual world. If everything crashes, all these Pokemon are going to die, and we cannot have that on her watch.
Right. And then we find out that Team Rocket fell into a void and that their Porygon is out, like in terms of like knocked loopy.
Yep.
And the vaccine has found them. And well, no, they didn't. They're just in this hole.
Yeah, they're just in a hole. Porygon is fainted, and they can't get out. But
and
it looks like Ash sees Team Rocket in the hole and goes, "We need to save them."
because, as you pointed out earlier, he has a heart when it suits him.
Yes. So they go down to save Team Rocket, but it's at this point that the freaking Rocket vaccine finds Team Rocket as well. And Team Rocket screaming up, "We're not viruses, we're humans. Please help us. Don't kill us."
And they get zapped up, and they kind of assume that they're fucked.
Yep.
And the guy says, "Well, the vaccine has been eliminated," and so he's satisfied. And then we find out that Ash used Bulbasaur as a goddamn Swiss Army knife again.
And picked up Team Rocket.
And they're floating back, we can assume, to the main world. On Bulbasaur's whip on the bottom side of Porygon.
They look dead.
They look dead.
And I don't want to dodge over this line, but it's at this time that we go back to the scene where Nurse Joy and this computer tech guy are there, and the computer tech guy is going, "Well, the vaccine has worked," and Nurse Joy goes, "We did it." Unbeknownst to her.
And as damn, there is another sequence, isn't there?
Yes.
As
Team Rocket thinks that they're saved, and they start rocking Porygon, and Porygon's, let's see, Porygon starts rocking back and forth, and Missy's like, "What's going on?" And the professor comes in, and he's like, "Perhaps you all are overweight. Okay, Porygon?" And Porygon is like struggling to keep up. And he's like, "Should we drop these guys off after all?" And Team Rocket's like, "Wait, no, don't do that." And then we get another sequence that the fucking vaccine is back.
And they shoot out like their last ditch effort rockets as the group is heading towards the portal to the outer world. And there's a big fucking explosion.
Oh shit.
And
this is the scene. Okay.
And everything blows up, including the mansion, and everything's left in rubble, and our heroes are okay. And then we do see at the very last second Team Rocket get dumped out, and they get up and they're acting all menacing.
And then we find out Porygon's in the real world and not in an actual computerized system anymore.
Right.
So it's a real Pokemon now, guys.
And Team Rocket gets up like they're going to square up, and they say thanks, and they run off in the other direction. So they actually get to leave on their own accord. They don't have to blast off. And the professor's distraught because his machine's destroyed.
And he's like, I thought if this was around, everyone's life would be more convenient, but I just left everyone down. And Ash makes a fucking sly remark, and he's like, try to make a safer system next time.
Yeah, like it's that fucking simple. But then we immediately cut to the transfer system working perfectly.
Yes. So they're back at the Pokemon Center. Nurse Joy said that the vaccine worked and that everything is back online and everything is good to go. And Ash is like, nobody knows that we just risked our lives. And Missy's basically like, yeah, we fixed the machine, but we can keep it to ourselves.
Yeah. And as they're about to leave, Pikachu is like, ahem. And then Ash is like, oh, right, at the beginning of the episode, I promised that we'd get you looked at.
And Nurse Joy looks over and goes, yeah, we'll be glad to look over your Pikachu. And then we get the narrator going, but even after Pikachu is feeling better, Ash and friends' journey will go on and
And
on
on
and
and on.
on. And then we get the to be continued.
Right.
And
No Pokérap.
no Pokérap. This is they don't have the Pokérap in Japan.
Well, they should.
But yeah, that's the episode. Great episode. I thoroughly like. If it wasn't for what this episode kind of represents, I would say this is one of my more favorite of the band episodes.
It's a cool concept. I mean, you're dealing with the internet in 1990s, late 97,
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, like I say, I refuse to acknowledge Beauty at the Beach. So it's basically between, Cyber Soldier.
You have to acknowledge Beauty and the Beach.
No, I don't have to.
We reviewed it. It's an episode. It's a thing.
Twice. I know. I don't want to think about it again.
But this was a great episode, and it was fun to review it.
It was. It was a good episode, and like you said, but I'm sitting there going, couldn't they have toned the light flashes down?
They could, but it's just the sequence of the lights. So even if they kind of toned it down, people that are sensitive to those type of lights, because even if you slowed it down, I mean, those bright lights still will hurt your eyes.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe they could have, but I mean, again, you don't want to take that chance. You already saw what happened in Japan. There's no point in bringing it over to the U.S. and having it potentially happen again, because who knows how much they got sued for that.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, we lost a lot of kids during that, because a lot of kids got sick and some of them didn't even make it out. So I mean, it's just sad. So I mean, we reviewed the episode. We're perfectly fine. We're not condoning anyone else to watch this episode. We hope you enjoyed our review and you're able to keep up with us.
Right.
So, do you have anything else that you want to add to this episode, Doug?
No, I mean, I've kind of started this trick where I'm trying to be like a little bit ahead of where we are. So, like, I knew I didn't have to necessarily go back and rewatch this episode because it had subtitles on it already. So, basically, I did watch it, one time all the way through, whatever, about a week ago now.
Yes.
So, I knew I didn't have to go back. So, like, right before we got on here to do this episode, I just watched Pikachu's Goodbye.
Sad episode.
Yeah, that episode can fuck right off.
That episode will fuck with all your emotions.
Yeah, that episode can do one. So I'm not 100% looking forward to it, just because. Yeah, but like, I mean, it's a good well, this isn't the episode, Um, but no, this one was good. I think you said, and I can't remember if I don't think we were on the air at the time. I think you said after this episode, we're kind of good with banned episodes for a while.
Yeah, so the episode where this is the 38th episode, and the next time we get to another band is episode 65. So we have about half a year before we even get down to that.
So yeah, we've got some time. Like I said, Pikachu's Goodbye is next week, and yeah, um,
Yeah, we're
hopefully, if you did choose to watch this episode with us, you were safe.
yes,
You were watching it in
well lit room
a well lit. Yeah, exactly.
and not too close to the TV.
Right.
So, but yeah, this was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed watching this episode back again, and we hope you guys really enjoyed our review. And then next week, we're getting back. So next week is Pikachu's Goodbye, and then we have. I think you said at the beginning of this series that the Battling Eevee brothers is one of your favorites.
It's one of my favorites, just because we really get into the nitty gritty of. I don't want to say evolution culture because that sounds douchey, but kind
Well,
of.
I was about to say it basically is because we finally get introduced to evolution stones
Well, it was briefly touched on
in
with
Pikachu.
Clefairy and the Moonstone and the Electric Shock Showdown,
Yes.
but all it was, hey, if you give Pikachu the stone, he's going to evolve. Well, how do you give Pikachu the stone? And it's not really touched on.
Nope.
Is it an enema? Is it,
An enema, Doug.
Well, I don't know how. I don't know.
So, but yes. So I'm going to ask you because we kind of do this from time to time when we remember. But next week's episode is Pikachu's Goodbye, or translated from Japanese, Forest of Pikachu. I like the Japanese translation.
I do, because you get a false. You get a. I had it. You get the wrong idea
Yes.
off of Pikachu's Goodbye, because he does say goodbye. I mean, we'll get into it. But.
Yeah, and I just watched a recent episode of Pokemon Journeys where they kind of tugged at this string again on the off chance that Pikachu was leaving Ash because Ash was spending so much time with his other Pokemon and not spending time with well Ash gets another Pokemon that wants to kind of walk around with him outside of the Pokeball.
I see.
And Pikachu gets a little, who the fuck is this guy? So, but we have a long ways until we hit that. But I mean, probably not too long if we end up doing another part of this series at some point. So it'll be fun. We got some time to sit down and talk. So, all right, Doug. Say goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you that I'm glad you tuned into this episode, and we'll be back to our regular broadcasting next week. Have a good night, everybody.